Britney topping the charts and the Backstreet Boys well on their way to becoming the biggest boy band of all time, Sweden found a roundabout way to pop superstardom. Instead of exporting pop superstars, they were generating globally recognized producers, and those producers were importing the talent.
Everything changed after that.
Yeah. So there were quite a few artists like NSYNC, Celine Dion, and Bon Jovi. And
it was like a perfect playground to do music.
Despite starting to attract some of the biggest artists in the world, Dennis Pop made sure Cheiron was still a fun place to work.
We first came to Stockholm here and recorded with Dennis and Max, and it's a great experience. It's very laid back, it's very easy. They're great to work with.
I mean, they're a great bunch of producers. They're really close friends of ours, and they're great to work with. I mean, we'd work with them forever if we could. So, you know, they're putting out really good songs. I mean, we're playing games, and our next single, As Long As You Love Me, so definitely.
These guys, Dennis Pop and Max Martin, do you think they were in some kind of altars, or they were them as we know them?
I think they're them, yeah.
Okay. When you listen to these guys' interviews, like both of them, but especially Max Martin, he comes off as this soft, creative, sensitive kind of guy. You would never think he's anything, you know, evil or sinister and anything. Like I've seen like maybe 3 or 4 interviews with him.
Okay. Max Martin is a nice guy, actually, and I can tell you that from personal experience. That's what I remember about him for the most part, is he's pretty nice. But what I can say though is like most people wouldn't eat meat if they ever had to kill a cow. If they actually had to kill a cow or a chicken or whatever, they wouldn't eat it, right? Like they wouldn't do it. But since somebody else does it for them, they eat cheeseburgers and whatever. And it's kind of like that with him, I think, where like I don't think he really saw that part of it. His job. He probably knew what was going on, but like that he wasn't. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, he was like kind of a surface level person.
Connecting all the dots on, like literally, like he is the, you know what I mean? He's the one who puts out the songs and works with everybody on the surface, and you know,
he's like the front guy, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I do remember about him too is I have a song which I'll actually send it to you for this, maybe so you can show people. But I have a song that I showed him, which what they're supposed to do when I make a song is they're supposed to run it through the computer. And if they run it through the computer and it can be a hit song, they're supposed to go back in time, find them, and basically make sure I don't write the song and then keep it.
Wow.
Which is really fucked up for me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, which explains a lot of my life now that I know that. But I showed him this song, at the computer, and I explained what it was about and everything. And it was a song about my trauma twin. And just about how every morning, you know, that's the first thing I think of. And I'll never forget her, basically. And so I told him that, and I showed him the song, and he made him cry. And like it literally made him cry. I remember him telling me, we're not going to put that one in the computer. That's yours. It's your song. I'm not going to take that one from you. You get to keep it.
Wow.
I don't know why that song, out of all of them, but that was the one that he's like, you got to keep that song. It's yours.
I see. So he is not 100% like evil, you're saying?
No. Why would he? You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't have done that. And with Dennis, I don't know.
Right.
It's like, you know, I have fond memories of these guys, but then I also know that I was a child, know that they were doing sexual stuff to Britney. Why would I think anything of them not doing it to me? It's like I don't want to go into those memories. I don't want to believe they're real, but I know they're real. They're some of the first ones to come back of this stuff. Was the fact that they're doing weird sexual stuff. So this is where I'm at with it. Is I'm here to tell the truth as I can tell it.
So they definitely know about the portal technology, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
defi-
Like I said, Dennis Pop even kind of talked about it
Yeah,
in an interview
right.
one time.
Yes. So they definitely know about this part. They definitely know about the space colonies, right? Because you said they were at Centurion
Yeah,
5.
yeah. And so I can tell you
Right.
too about the computer, the recording studio, and like how I told you didn't put the song in the computer, right?
Yes.
Well, how that worked was there was a computer, a quantum computer that you could put the songs in, and it would tell you where the song would be successful, where it would do well, what planet, what era, what year to put it out, suggest people that you could put the song out through, for real. Every song
Wow.
you made, that's how it was. And one of the most hilarious ones is the song "Pump Out the Jams." The story of that song is hilarious because we were so fucked up when we made that song, we didn't remember making it.
Oh my god.
And then we turned on the recording studio the next day and pump up the jams, pump it up, gotta keep on pumping. And we're just like, what? And the computer's like, hit, like all over the place. And we're like, this song, what? We're literally just saying pump up the jams over and over again. What the fuck? You thought it was hilarious. Couldn't believe it. You literally forgot, because the thing is the machine, so it's important to explain, the machine would like give us whatever drugs we wanted, like anything we wanted, and it
Wow.
wouldn't. And
Like
if
a
it,
replicator?
yeah, like a replicator, and it knew if like it was becoming to the point where it was detrimental, it would wean you off. Like, so if like you were doing for real like heroin or something, right? It'd be like if you're getting to the point where you're just like a junkie now, like what, like it'd be like it could tell you that, and it'd be like wean you off of it and be like, you're done, not gonna give you anymore. But the crazy thing is, you remember how I told you the beginning with the powder, how Dennis Pop was like, oh, this powder hooks you up to the computer. Well, that stuff is super duper addictive, and you have super duper wildly painful like seizures if you don't have it. And that was how they kept you at the recording studio. There was nothing that you could leave whenever you wanted to, but that drug, you couldn't get it anywhere else. Yeah, and so you want the story of blinding lights. I can tell you that now. I can tell you where it comes from. It's actually a pretty great story, I think. It kind of helps you appreciate the song more, probably as a listener, once you know it. That song's about how I was at the recording studio and I was alone for a long time. Like sometimes I'd work with other people, sometimes I'd let people visit me, but I was alone a lot, and I was just lonely, man. And I just wanted to see somebody else, and just so I started saving up in this little jar that I had, little tiny pebbles, like a corner of the powder they would give me, and it made me feel like ill at first, like it was bad, really painful. But I plowed through it. Eventually, got to the point where I needed a little bit less of that stuff. So when I save up the jar, so then once I had the jar with me, I could leave and go somewhere.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I actually did that. And basically, there was like a train, like a subway in a mountain there, and like I just got on it. It was all AI, and it just brought me to where I wanted to go. And then once you get off there, there's like highways and stuff like that. And there was like these little white electric cars, and I was like, God, I hope this works. And I got in one and tried to drive it, and sure enough, it fucking worked. And let me drive it, because that's just kind of how they were. Like it was like a more of a resort planet, so nothing really costed money there or anything like that. So just let me drive it. And I was driving, and I just remember like being like, wow, like I'm fucked up from this stuff. I'm doing a little bit more of it than I usually do because I have this giant jar of it. And I'm just like, and I just remember like the fucking I'm on this like skyway, like in the sky, and this their cities are like really concentrated because of the jungles. They don't want to have to build out any more than they need to. It's really hard, so they're like huge. Like these cities are massive, and there's like highways in the sky and shit. And I'm just like driving it. I'm just like
blinded by the lights.
Yeah, blinded, but literally like it's hard for me to drive. And I'm in the middle of this fucking highway in the sky, and all of a sudden you're like the sound of the electric engine turning off. I'm like, no, what? No, what? And it turns off, and the car kind of sinks into the ground, and I'm just like, oh god! And I just get out of the car and I look around, and I'm just like, it's like miles before I get anywhere, like miles, like in the sky, and I'm just like, what the fuck do I do now? Because it's also miles back to where the cars were too. And I'm just like, man. And then so this Boba Fett ship that was like black came out and was like, hey, you're an authorized person in an authorized zone. It's like, put your hands up. So I did. These guys got me. They like asked what to do with me, and they just like brought me back. Like they brought me to like the jail at first, and they like didn't know what to do with me. And then they like it wasn't that long, maybe 2-3 hours I think, before like I was back on the same ship. They brought me back to the recording studio, and they're like, look, we're gonna give you some leniency because no one actually ever technically told you that you can't leave here, but we're gonna tell you now. You can't leave here. You're supposed to stay here. And we're not going to punish you this time, but next time we will. And you don't want to find out what the punishment is. Just don't leave here, okay? Can you understand that? Is that cool? They were nice to me about it. I was like, yeah, I can do that. And they're like, all right, cool. All right, bye. And then they took off. And that was like that. And that's where that came from. And I was trying to, because I knew the city. I'd been to it, like the city of Centurion. I think it has a name. I don't think it's called Centurion, but I can't remember it. But I was thinking, and I might have been wrong, I might have been right. I didn't get the chance to find out. But I was hoping that this woman I know that lived in a certain tower, like that I had kind of like a relationship with, I was hoping that she would be there and that I could, randomly show up on her doorstep and be like, hey, here I am. Let's get it on. Like, you know what I mean? That's what the song's about. So, yeah, that's literally what that song was about.
Centurion 5, this planet that you're talking about, this is not the same Centurion that John Whitberg is.
No, it can't be because it's not a Dyson sphere. I remember colonizing it.
Okay. Where is it located? Also in the Alpha Centauri?
The Antares region.
Antares region.
Antares.
Okay.
It's connected to there. Antares. It's connected to that area.
Whose colony is this?
There's Germans, there's Americans, there's Italian, and there's Polish, and there's French. It's shared. They call it Joint Navy Space Fleet is the one who owns it.
Joint Navy Space Fleet. Wow.
Yes, which is
so it's military.
Yes, Joint Navy Space Fleet.
Okay.
Which is they probably have another name for themselves when they're not for the planet and their governance. That's probably not what they call it. But yeah, it's the same group. Joint, and they call themselves Joint Navy Space Fleet, and it's it's the Germans here, like the Germans that are like right now, like it's not
Germans on Earth.
It's like different, like the Germans that actually do work with the Americans and stuff like that, if I'm recalling correctly, because there isn't any animosity or anything like that. So the story of Centurion is, and I know because I was there for the beginning and the end. I lived multiple lives on this planet. It was colonized through time travel. There's a species that was originally supposed to live on it, and they're pretty xenophobic, and they just kind of kept to themselves, but they're also able to protect their planet, so everyone just kind of left them alone. And there's an aspect where this planet is hard to find, and the details are kind of blurry. I think it's some sort of natural phenomenon in space that serves as a sort of natural cloak or something like that. Or it might be a temporal thing too, where like it literally phases in and out of space. I forget what there's going on where like it's hard to find, and that's part of the reason why it worked for what the Joint Navy Space Fleet wanted it for. That's part of the reason why it's a perfect place. Is what was going on was there was a battle in the future, and they got their asses handed to them, and they were trying to figure out how they could change it through time travel to make it so that they didn't get their asses handed to them, and they won. And they figured, well, they should have if they could get like a outpost somewhere nearby, and have it be like on the sly where the enemy didn't realize it, that would give us a huge advantage, and we could maybe win. Right. And then the Illyrians were living there, and like the Admiral Akbar from Star Wars, you can show it on the screen. That guy, that's what they look like, except their eyes are more forward and their heads are skinnier. That's a human wearing like a prosthetic mask, so they did what they could with that. But like that's what the Illyrians are look like that, and those people from Star Wars are based on the Illyrians. Like they have to
Illyrians, yes.
Yeah, and the planet Centurion actually should be called Ilaria. Centurion 5 should actually be called Ilaria because it's their planet. It's where they come from. they showed up and take it. It's fucking actually Ilaria, not Centurion 5. I should really should stop calling it Centurion 5. It's actually Ilaria. Like just because we came in and stole it and called it ours now doesn't mean that it is, right? Like, but that's what happens. That's my whole thing is like, what I'm trying to explain to people is that's what we do in space. We're colonizers and we're the bad guys, and that's why aliens don't want to talk to us. It's because we're the bad guys.
So, but
we eventually we win this battle to stay on track. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Eventually they win this battle in the future, and before that, it's just a military outpost planet, which is common. So many of them, and once they win the battle, they turn it into a resort planet, basically.
Oh, okay. Now I see.
Basically, it's like rich elite who are famous to where when they go out in public, they'll get like gawked and stuff like that. They don't want that. It's a planet for where the gods among men, if you will, can walk around and not be ogled at. That's what it's designed.
Oh, I see. So who did you see there that's famous here on Earth?
Janis Joplin.
Oh,
Dennis,
okay.
Obviously Dennis Pop, Max Martin.
Dennis Pop, who supposedly died in '98, right?
Yeah, there's a version of him still alive for sure.
I see.
People have been to the studio. Kanye West.
Wow.
Yeah, Kanye West has been there. Donda album. Worked on the Donda album. And probably more, but I remember that specifically. And yeah, he sacrificed his mom and stuff. I'm gonna be real. This organization is dark. Like I'm watering it down. Like, yeah, I have fond memories of. Make sure to keep this in the video interview too. Yeah, I have fond memories of them and stuff like that. But I also have memories of being raped, and I also have memories of other people being raped. And I also I know that this is like dark. Like this is a dark thing that they were doing. Like Kanye West sacrificed his own mother to be part of this little cult that they have going. It's evil. It's satanic, and I really I'm gonna make sure for the rest of the interview to refrain from gaslighting myself about the evil nature of Ordo Tempulum Nephilim and the Church of the Holy Ghost Rider, just because I have some fond feelings about Max Martin and Dennis Pop. The reality is the organization is without a doubt dark.
I see.
But yeah, where were we at?
The Nephilim part. Did you see any? I mean, any live Nephilim or any like pictures or anything refer to them, like who they are? If not,
I remember going to a temple, but it's all really blurry. And I don't really remember.
You remember the temple, yes?
Yes, there is some sort of temple that they actually go to, a literal physical temple.
Is it on the ground somewhere or?
Yeah, but it's not on Earth. It's on some other planet, and it's very few people can go there.
I see.
But yeah, there's an actual temple, and I'm pretty sure there's 9. There's 9 of the Nephilim. One is the leader, and then the other 8 are their voters, but the leader is the deciding vote if they're split. And
the Nephilim being what?
Memories back as I'm talking to you, it's becoming clearer. There's 9 of them, and the Nephilim are just like, if you listen to Penny talk about the Zahami, it's the same thing.
Zahami? I see.
It's the same thing, and they're basically humanoids, and they're taller and bigger, but kind of wraith-like and skinnier. But their skin can change colors and stuff like that.
Right.
Those are the guys. There's 9 of them, and they're in charge of the whole thing.
Do you remember anyone else in the studio or in the organization who is known or famous or stuff? Like who would be running it? I mean, with them, because you said that Max Martin would be like a front guy, more or less, in the music industry.
Yeah, I remember being left alone there for years, dude. Years. Yes, 20 backs, dude. It'd be a 20 back. Yeah, I've done multiple of them. 20 years where you're kept the same age. You just hang out. Literally, all you fucking do, period, is just make music. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of like heaven for me in a way. That's part of the reason why I signed up for it. I love making music and I'm good at it. And it's but it just sucks that all the evil has to be there too, you know? I don't like that part of it.
Okay.
And also not being allowed to see people for so long and not being allowed to leave. That part sucked.
Okay.
But they did allow people to visit me, and I did work with people. And like I said, I worked with, Kanye West, and I remember him being in the studio.
Uh-huh.
And I know there are others, but I just don't really remember it very well. But for
Okay.
some reason, Kanye West stuck out to me. I think I know why. It's because when he started having his kind of like public meltdowns and talking about like conspiracies and stuff like that, like I was going through some shit at the same time, and it kind of helped trigger the memories of him. So yeah, I know there's way more than just Kanye. They're like famous people that exist in the here and now, but I think that's the reason why he's the one that actually sticks out and I can remember him. And also, he's just so openly like satanic, I guess, Illuminati. Like he literally says he literally openly says he sacrificed his mother. They killed his mother. He performs with a burning effigy of his house suspended above the stage, like all sorts of weird shit. Like he recorded the Donda album. On record, they say he recorded it at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Did you know that? And he paid $1 million like a week or a day or something like that to record there.
Okay.
It's just because of the portals and because of the energy there.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's the reason why they hold the events that they hold there, is to siphon the energy. So there's I don't know how it all works, because as you can see there's also like this music is made off world, but then there's also people who work on it in the here and now, and there's so much of it that even I'm a little bit confused about, like the chicken and the egg kind of thing. Like where does it start? Where does it end? Like a lot of this stuff gets really confusing with the time travel and
Okay.
everything else. Like,
so for Britney, do you remember the songs that you wrote for her?
Hit Me Baby One More Time, and You Call Me Crazy, and then she helped me write Lucky.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't even know who got credited for that song, but she helped me. Let's look. I just want to look it up real quick, actually, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because I bet she didn't get credit for it, because it's about her and how sad she was. Yeah, she didn't get credited. Yeah, I think I wrote her. Yeah, I remember writing that song with her, and Bax Martin and 2 other guys got credited for it, and then and a part of it too was collaborative, like I said, because they wanted me to do the melody and the hooks of the song, and so it's not like they didn't do anything. It's not like they sat around and I did all the work and played all the instruments. It wasn't like that. They were musicians and they're part of the songwriting process too. But I provide the melodies. As far as that phase, when I was literally a child on Earth on Chiron Studios, but on Centurion, I was kept in my 20s, 25 years old.
Yeah.
And I was just working on music, and so some of it was by myself, but some of it was with Loud Graves. Like I think at least one, probably multiple of the 20 and backs was with Ghost Effects.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's probably done 20 and backs by himself too, without me, I can only imagine.
Amazing. So Hit Me Baby One More Time. Is there a story behind it that you remember?
Yeah, they were torturing me and they're beating me. They're basically beating me, and they told me to sing about it, and if I came up with a hit, they would stop. I know it sounds insane, like what, they're just like beating this kid and making him sing, like it sounds fucking crazy, but like that's what I remember happening. And when I look into it and find Dennis Pop talking about portals casually and solar flares and MP3s before they ever existed, and it makes me realize it's real. Like it is real. And I found a lot of different weird stuff, like a lot of like evidence when I start looking into the songs and where they come from. And then also just like some of the songs, like the lyrics and the imagery in the music videos, like they're literally showing. Another thing that's interesting about that song too is, I mean, you've got a 16-year-old girl with a song about being hit during sex, and And their excuse for it, what they said was, "Oh, hit me on the phone, hit me up on the phone, and we just shortened
Yeah.
it." No, bro, you know exactly what you're doing with this song. One thing I'll say too, like, okay, this is one thing I'll explain to help you understand it with the songs is, like I said, so multiple 20 in backs, stuff like that, and it all gets confusing. And I can remember alternate futures, and one of the futures that I remember is like when this all comes out, and I get a binder that lists all the songs I wrote, and that takes me like a while to process, like a few months, because like I would say about 60 to 70% on the songs on the list are songs that I had heard my whole life and felt no emotional net connection to whatsoever.
Yeah.
No emotional attachment to at all. I had no clue I wrote them. Like I found out recently I wrote Jimmy Eats World. It just takes some time and a little in and bit out the line. Fellow Montauk Time Soldier told me that they remember how I would play that song to a certain kid to cheer them up. And that's what I wrote it for.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, like, so like, and I remember it now because they say it, but like my whole life, like that, like I've heard that song again in the hearing now, like recently, and I was like, oh, I wrote this song, like Eureka moment, like, so that's kind of for me, like the tragedy of this is like, maybe I did write that song, I don't know, but for me, I don't remember doing it, so I don't want to take credit for it.
I see. About the Eurodance songs, Chiron worked a lot with, all the famous hits from the 90s. Just to reference saying that Max Martin is credited for like probably 10 or 15, biggest hits, pop song hits of all time. And Chiron worked with E-Type. So E-Type is, a big one. If you listen to their album, it's all about like basically super soldier stuff and how they experience things, how they process these feelings, and how they have to go on because they have no choice. About the Eurodance, do you have any specific names that?
Rhythm of the Night. Rhythm is a dancer, which is Rhythmusstanzer, which is a German word, and it was written in German. All those songs were written in German on a German breakaway colony by one of my authors named Hans. When I recall, I think it's a moon, and there's a huge city on it, and I DJ'd in a nightclub, and I wrote a lot of those songs for the nightclub, and then a lot of them ended up on Earth through the military.
Wow. Rhythm as a dancer, and there is a third one that we didn't name. It's also with the rhythm something.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Sweet Dreams of Rhythm and Dancing.
Right? Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually looked into that, and Lane McRae is credited for Sweet Dreams of Rhythm of Jansen, I think, or something like that. And one of those songs. And he's connected to the Air Force, and he was stationed in Germany. And really weird. Like I realized I wrote that song, and I looked into it, and I found out Air Force connections right away, and it was just like, that was kind of mind blowing to me.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, you never came across in the programs.
He's ancient. He's involved in ancient Egypt. Yeah, ancient Egypt. Reincarnation of someone from ancient Egypt. That's important.
Okay.
Same thing with Tupac. Yeah, him too. Tupac and Michael Jackson are part of Project Ibis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which
I see.
I'm kind of interested in bringing that up to John and seeing what he remembers about that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they split us into different groups with the Project Ibis.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
You
were there too?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and Emmerman's my father.
All right. Okay.
Me and John have the same father. Do you know that? Me and John are half brothers.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it. Crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
All right. This was really cool. Sorry for bringing up some things that you wouldn't want to remember too much.
Well, that's a lot of it, and like I said, it's hard for me to deal with this because how much of me, and feel free to leave this in the interview, how much of me was a victim, and then with these new memories that I got, how much of me was 100% aware, and how guilty am I these are questions that I have to ask myself, and I don't have the answers yet.